It is another Monday night for us over here in the UK, so you know what that means. It is time to find out what has Stadia done now. It has been an interesting week once again in the world of Stadia, so sit back and relax as we go through it all. And that is us live now. Howdy, everybody.
Hi. Good evening.
Good evening.
Oh, since weekend has passed, Sammy, how are you on this fine day?
I'm doing well. Had some interesting news this morning. This afternoon. Work decided they're going to put up with me for another few months, so extend my contract further. I booked my COVID jab, so it's been an eventful day today.
You've had your COVID jab today?
I've booked it. I haven't had it yet. That's a few weeks' time.
Yeah. I'm just warning you, I may sound like I'm a bit drunk tonight. I had mine yesterday, and I've got a wee tiny side effects from it still.
So your second, which jabs do you get?
The AstraZeneca, whatever it's called, the one the one what people don't want to get. I got so.
Apparently, I'm young enough, and if you're young enough in the UK, you get to choose. I'm not that fussed.
Yeah.
Worst that happens, I get knocked out and I get a day off work.
Yeah, exactly. Young Barry, what about yourself?
Yeah, not too bad. I've been feeling a little bit under the weather today, but I'm all right. I'm doing not too bad, and ready to kick off. Having a deep dive into what Stadia has done this week, or in the past week, shall we say?
Yes, it's going to be a fun time for me. It has been another eventful week. I've been playing a load of games, which is always good to see. And yeah, an eventful week, and I would say an eventful, I'm just looking at the time there, eventful couple of hours in the world of Stadia, because there's actually been a lot which is actually just kicked off now. So shall we start off and maybe start off with the good news? Shall we start off with the good news?
Let's do it.
Okay, let's see if this is working here. Here we go. I will hit that button, and that should work. There we go. We're rocking now. We are going to be talking some Madden, and Madden is officially coming to Stadia, just like we all thought it would be. Sammy, have you got your £100 down for it?
I haven't got my £100 for it. I did play Madden 21 when it had the free weekend on Stadia earlier this year. I think it was around Super Bowl time it launched. Thought it was a very well-made game. I just don't understand American football at all. So I thought it was looked beautiful, really smooth frame rates, but I can get the hang of it. Brilliant news. This is coming day and date. This is one of the things which people were complaining a little bit about, the Madden and FIFA titles. Hopefully this means we'll get FIFA day and date as well later on. Obviously wait and see about that.
Yes, indeed. Here's the thing. Here's the worrying thing for you two now. I am prepared to be worried. I can mute myself here, and people won't know. You won't know if I've muted myself.
Yeah, that's very true. Actually,
that doesn't worry me. I can't do anything about that. It doesn't worry me. So, what worries me is you can mute me, and I wouldn't know about it.
Oh, Duncan's breaking news face.
It is breaking news face, which we will come on to later. It is one of the topics we were coming on to. It looks like it's been confirmed.
Okay. I know what you're referring to, so I'll look forward to that tasty discussion later.
Stay tuned, folks.
Yes, it is going to be a beezer of a discussion. People are not going to like it, I don't think. So, Barry, you're a resident Madden fan. What's your
yes? Don't joke, please. Don't joke.
COVID. It's like social distancing. Put our cameras 2 meters apart.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I bought Madden 21. When it came, because I tend to play the Madden franchises year after year. I mean, I think being British, I'm not the best at it. As you come up against a lot of the people in the States and
people who know what they're doing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I do know the rules. I do know kind of roughly how to kind of read the game and how to play it. But the people that grew up with it in the States are so much better at it than we are here in the UK. But it's great fun, and absolutely, I'm glad that it's day and date, because it is. I mean, if we think in contrast to this year for 2021, it arrived like a week before the Super Bowl, at which point season's done, it's finished. It's, it'd be a little bit like getting F1 2020, when they're hitting the Abu Dhabi race, you wouldn't be too chuffed. So absolutely, from that perspective, the fact that we're getting Madden 22 day and date, absolutely brilliant. Little concerned by the price. I know there is a standard edition, but that, the what we'll call the big boy edition, the deluxe one, at triple figures is a hefty price tag to be putting your hand in your pocket for some NFL action to play. Of course, I should say that's obviously an EA thing. That's a pricing thing, not necessarily a Stadia thing.
Yes. First of all, I am actually really happy that they have actually got out ahead of this, and they've actually got the news out there that it's coming down date a couple of days after everybody else, but they've got it out there tonight, and they've posted about it a couple of times. So it's great to see that they are doing that. With that, the pricing is interesting. There's been some discussions out there in Stadia Land and far afield, in that we have this coming day and date, and it appears at this moment in time it is going to be missing the next gen sort of features. Is that a big worry, considering the price they are asking for it? Sammy?
I think it comes down to if people own the next gen consoles, the PlayStation 5, the Xbox Series X, where those features are available, it will probably steer them more towards buying it on those platforms rather than Stadia. If you haven't, as a lot of people don't, a lot of people are still waiting for their consoles. Stadia having a port day one, I don't think people will mind too much. The additional features remind me that's mostly just crowd AI and a few stats. I'm not entirely read up on this, so
it's a couple of like next gen sort of only sort of features. There's a couple of it's American football. I don't care about it, to be completely honest.
Neither do I. You asked me a question about it, so yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, it's just added wee bits and bobs. It's just more bells and whistles, basically, more features onto it. Barry, our resident Madden expert.
That's repetition. We've got to buzz in there. Yeah.
Bingo. I think obviously I said at the end of the last little bit that I felt the pricing was a little bit on the steep side. I think when you kind of throw into the equation the way that it's looking right now, in the sense that it could be missing some of those kind of next gen features, for me, it still sits price bracket wise too expensive. I think, Sammy, you were nailed on there. I think if you've got access to the next gen console and you can take advantage of the features, you probably know realistically which one you're going to spend the money on, because if you've got 2 platforms or 3 platforms, dependent on your next gen or current gen availability, I should say, if you've got all of them available to you along with Stadia, and 2 out of the 3 will give you additional benefits and features, there, and monetary wise there's no different, then realistically you are going to spend the money elsewhere. So I mean, it would be nice to see if they actually kind of clarified that closer to the time, whether we're going to, I mean, the 2021 port was good. It looked, it was a good looking game. One
of the best looking games, one of the best ports I've played with Stadia.
So I think in going into 2022, yeah, and going into 2022, no doubt there's going to be an extra little bit of polish, maybe a few more bugs stamped out. Yeah, it's probably going to look great, but for me, if it's missing some of those next gen features, it can't carry a next gen price tag.
Okay, I think we're going to have to wait and see. We've had some more information out from Stadia today about Madden, just confirming it's coming. I think it's a fairly, I think it has to be talked about to be absolutely fair, and it's going to be fun to actually see what happens here because you never know. Stadia is Stadia, and Stadia are. There's only one thing predictable about Stadia, and that is Stadia is unpredictable. So that is Stadia in a nutshell. Also on Stadia, we're going to keep it nice and positive to start it off here. You know what's going to happen. Everybody's going to walk in when we're talking all the negative sort of stuff.
Yeah,
of course.
That's
So
not stop it. But,
yes. With that, we will go on to the Stadia sales. At this moment in time, there is an absolute masses of games on sale, and I can see people panicking here. What? Just double check what games are on sale.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm doing.
I think that one of the big talking ones is, and I'm just setting these up here nicely. Okay, are you watching? One of the big ones, which is out there, and it's getting a lot of talking about is Dirt 5. Dirt 5 is on sale on Stadia. If you're going to play Dirt 5 on Stadia, drop it down to 1080 because the 4K mode is having some issues, so play it in 1080. But
that's why I've not seen any issues.
Yes.
So I've never played it in 4K. I've never had it on the Chromecast Ultra.
Yeah, like I said, we do give out tips here as well. Dirt 5, Sammy, I know you've played it a fair bit. Would you recommend it at the price point? And after we do this, we're going to go through the chat here as well.
I'd have recommended it at the higher price point when it released. It's a very enjoyable game. One of the smoothest arcade races I've played anywhere. That's any game, any platform. Thoroughly enjoyed it. It's got the playgrounds mode, which is basically where people can build their own courses and you can submit them, other people can drive around them. I'm not very good at building the courses, but I've had some fun driving around other people's courses, enjoying going through all the gates, all the pathways. Some of them frustrated me, but you just downvote those and move on to the next one.
Yeah, and some bang news for Dirt 5. Oh, people will catch on to that soon when I say it there. Just caught on to it. Some bang news for Dirt 5 on Stadia is...
click.
We're coming to that. Is... it's getting crossplay down the line. That is on its way. Yes. So if you're worried about multiplayer, don't be at this. Sorry, you would have to probably worry about it at this moment in time, but a couple of months' time, it is going to get full crossplay and things like that. So hopefully we'll be seeing some of these creations out there. Barry, what about you? Dirt 5, is that a good pickup at that time?
Yep, I think so. I mean, I think I'm going to give Cloud Gaming Dad a little shout out because he dropped a little bit of a tip on Twitter that he picked up the deluxe edition and had quite a few niggles with it and was suffering some crashes. Refunded it, picked up the standard version, and there was no problems with it at all. So I think when you look at that kind of just over £20 price point, absolute bargain, and it is a great game. I mean, I haven't played it on Stadia, but in terms of the game itself, it's great fun. And it's a typical Codemasters experience, I think, from a racer. You have a lot of fun with it, and it is a visually impressive. It looks stunning.
Yeah, is there any other titles there? I'm going to give out my usual thing. We say this in all the shows. If you're thinking of picking up one or two of the Ubisoft games, I would say just get Ubisoft Plus. Get that for a couple of months. I think the offer's still ongoing. Go and feast on the Ubisoft goodness, which is out there. And just remember that Ubisoft Plus subscription works across all of the cloud gaming services out there, which support it in Luna, Stadia, and GFN. So you can actually pick them all up there. And some of the platforms have more games or different games. So you get that. You can jump across all the different sort of ones there. While you're looking for around this here, we will have a wee quick look at the chat. Is there any... we've got Happy's here. Hi, Happy. We've got Hell Monkey. Hell Monkey just sent you something there, which you may find interesting. We've got Brandon in the house. Thanks, Brandon, for coming. We've got Killa Plus. We've got Zero Games for me. Is there any questions? I've got Charles. Sorry, I'm brilliant at this. Anders in the chat. We've got Anthony in the chat, and we've also got Eddie in the chat. We're going to be touching on some of the stuff you've mentioned there. And Hell Monkey, we are no longer part of the Stadia Bash community network. We parted ways a couple of weeks ago. Yes.
I don't know. It all blurs into one at this point.
Yes, I know.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
So, was there any other good pickups there? Killa Plus is saying a Windbound is a good price. Windbound, I actually enjoyed that. I've put some time into that. That isn't a bad wee game if you're looking for something a bit different there.
Yep, definitely.
Windbound looks good. In terms of games which people might have played recently but haven't bought yet, obviously we've just come out of a free weekend for PGA Tour. I don't have the price for the standard edition because I did buy that day one, but the digital deluxe edition is under £20. And you're thinking Dirt 5's a decent game. That's £22-25. The PGA Tour is also good. Those of you that haven't played it, it's a golf game. Fairly self-explanatory. The controls when you get into the levels are very easy to understand. You get the hang of it reasonably quickly. I would put some caution on that the menu screens tend to take a bit longer to load, and even almost a year on, we're still not entirely sure why. But once you got through those issues, it's a really well polished game and really enjoyable. Yeah.
Barry, any other ones you would recommend? Or?
I've got two picks that I'd probably put out there for different audiences, shall we say. I'll go with the topical one of the moment, in the fact that Cyberpunk 2077 is on sale. And from what I remember, I think that was a relatively good price because it was around the mid-30s, I think, if I remember correctly. I can't see the price because I've bought it, so it makes it. But I'm sure I remember seeing it was around the mid-30s point, which, given the fact that it's kind of PlayStation, with the exception of kind of obviously PC and maybe one other place, Stadia was really well regarded for Cyberpunk as being one of the best places to have it, have experience with it was on Stadia at launch, and it did, there was quite a bit of buoyancy around the launch of Cyberpunk, so I'd certainly say that. And then the other one that I'm going to pick out, purely because it's very rarely on sale, obviously will only appeal to certain audiences because it's a JRPG, but Octopath Traveler is half price. It's $24.99.
Yeah, Octopath is a great game if you have not played it. It gets absolutely rave reviews if you're looking for stuff like that. PGA, I picked PGA up a couple of months ago. It's probably more than a couple of months ago. Do you remember that ridiculous price Stadia had?
It's had a few good sales, PGA, along with Borderlands 3, which is another game which is on a very good sale right now.
Yeah. I picked up Borderlands, and I also picked up PGA when it was like £3 or £4 or about $5-6 sort of thing, when they just went crazy and they just absolutely slashed the price.
Yeah, I remember doing that, looking at me paying £60 for it in the summer.
But that's what happens. That's the same for all the different platforms, and it's actually great that Stadia is taking part in them sort of things. And you could absolutely spend a load of cash during that sale if you're just jumping on board. Speaking of just jumping on board, do you like that segue here and everything here?
Oh, a little segue there.
It depends what you're segueing into.
Yeah. We are going to be saying Stadia is going on to the Chromecast Google for T, whatever. It's got too long of a name.
Then I would disagree. It's not a good segue.
Google TV with Chromecast.
Yeah, whatever it is, whatever flipping big, massive, long flipping thing. But that is happening in a couple of days' time. The good news is now you can actually download it and get it installed. People have, but it's not working as yet.
People can get it downloaded and installed, but it's not. Well,
It actually loads up and says this is not available yet. So you can
okay.
You can go there and get it sort of tested there.
You get a wee shiny logo when it boots up. Looks a little bit different.
Yes, I saw you and Cloud Gaming Dad talking about it in our chat.
Yeah.
I'll have to check it out myself later. I haven't played on my Chromecast for a while. I did when I had my PC broken for about a week. Obviously, the only way to play on my TV then was to use my Chromecast. So, but I haven't played on it that often.
Yeah, Barry, what do you think about this?
I'm looking forward to it. I've got it installed on my Shield Pro, ready to locked in and ready to go from Wednesday. So I think it's one of those. I think Wednesday will be hailed as one of those momentous days because it's going to be an app, and I think there's going to be a lot of interest in it in terms of the way the boot up screen looks. There's got a little look about it. Is it going to suddenly boot into something slightly different to what we're accustomed to seeing on the CCU? I'm certainly hoping it's much quicker. For sure.
The UI on CCU, this has been talked about by just about every single Stadia podcast going. Yeah. But the UI on Chromecast Ultra it was good when it started, but I think as people's libraries have grown, the CCU just hasn't kept up and hasn't been as useful.
Do you think they're going to go for a 2-for-1er and update it as well as launching? Because I think that would be a really, really good thing.
I think you'll get an updated UI with the Chromecast with Google TV. I don't think you'll get an upgraded UI on Chromecast Ultra. I think this is basically them phasing that device out completely. It will still play Stadia, but you won't get any UI upgrades. You'll have to start games from your phone, example.
Okay. Barry?
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I do think there is. I could be wrong. But there's something in that boot logo that kind of says there's something tucked underneath the bonnet, which is a little bit different to what we're accustomed to. So I'm keeping my fingers crossed that come Wednesday we do see a better experience.
I'm hoping we do as well. Craig Even Dad in the chat there has said that there is no updated on the wee screenshots that they apply to the app. Again, I'm apologizing. I'm talking worse than normal. I'm still got some bit of fun and games here, so you just have to bear with me. So if I say anything wrong or controversially, I can blame the maids tonight, which is always good.
Why don't you use that excuse every week? Oh, right.
Come on. But I think this is an opportunity for Stadia this week. I don't think it's going to be, oh my goodness, massive. But I hope they come out here and really push it. Like I'm just comparing here, just like what Luna is doing at Amazon with their promotion. I hope they do something big at their end. And let's hope there's a load of users actually come in with it.
And of course, let's not forget, it's not just the, I still call them the Sabrina Chromecast because that was their code name back in the day, but it's also the NVIDIA Shield TV, the Pro version of that as well, the weird, cheap Walmart one. So there's it's more, I was going to ask how many Sabrina Chromecasts they sold, but that doesn't quite cover how many devices will have Stadia enabled on them over the next couple of days.
Yeah,
how many new households it can get into.
Yeah, I think that's a fair point. I'm going to go back to Barry's what he was talking about. If people are wanting probably the ideal streaming sort of cloud gaming box, I think it has to be the Shield, because you can get Stadia on it, you can get GFN on it.
You can get GFN on the Sabrina Chromecast because I've got it downloaded on mine. I haven't tried the Shield 2, but I did nearly get one around Christmas last year. In the end, obviously decided against it. But no, it's.
I think the one thing that was I guess the kicker for me, and I'm talking about this on Twitter earlier today or yesterday, I think actually, was the fact that the Google TV with Chromecast, you can buy an Ethernet for it, but it's capped at 10100, whereas you've got gigabit on the Shield Pro. And for me, it's gigabit all day long. From this point on, and for not even just this point, but for a prolonged period of time anyway, you want to be in a position where you've got those gigabit connections running. And that was the thing that it kind of sways that battle in that sense. But you do notice a bit of a difference in terms of the overall media experience as well.
Okay, so we have this. I hope that this is going to bring in the users and just bring down the barrier for people to actually play on Stadia, because as we know and we say constantly, Stadia is a good cloud gaming solution for people if they want to go and play some games. So let's hope this actually comes to fruition and we get a big, massive uptick, because we are seeing basically multiplayer lobbies. We need them for multiplayer lobbies, and the more people who come, the more likely it is for that all to happen. So shall we move on to the next piece of news? The schedule is out now for the Google Game Dev Summit, and Stadia is taking part in day 2, and they are taking part for an hour, and they are taking part between I'm trying to work this out, 5 o'clock to 6 o'clock UK time, which is
PM, of course,
12 Eastern to 1 p.m. Eastern. So there's a keynote which lasts 15 minutes. I'm just reading this off screen here so you won't see me going across here. And they're saying, come here, the latest and greatest from one of Stadia's business development leads. You'll learn about new offerings for all Stadia partners and how the Stadia team is working to make it easier to bring games to the platform while delivering new ways to maximize the return on launching Stadia titles. There's also 2 more talks. Less time porting and starting, more time creating, and the other one is bringing new value to Stadia partners. So, Barry, I know you've had a wee quick read of this.
Yep.
What's your take on it?
I mean, I think it was it's a positive sign. It was a must. If you've got a Google Games kind of summit, it's great that they're. I think it's a positive sign that their name is in the mix. In that respect. So I mean, I think that the way that they're going out there and they're talking about kind of what they can do, how they can kind of make it profitable, how they can help you, how they can reduce port time, more dev time. They are. Each of those topics that you kind of just sort of run through, they're striking all the right notes with the people that matter. Not obviously there's more than one group of people that matter, but obviously the devs matter, because at the end of the day, they're the ones bringing the games that we all want to play. And Stadia is the platform that a lot of us want to, experience them on. So kind of being in that position of kind of talking about how easy it can be, minimizing maybe their workload, what the benefits are, how they can make it profitable, and what it's like launching a game on Stadia is great. That's great to hear, because hopefully there will be people who may well be curious about whether or not they should launch their games on Stadia, and kind of who then can sit there, hone in and focus on what's said, which then could open to kind of some kind of networking and then further discussions, which could mean that we then end up having more games coming along to the platform. The only thing I would probably say is I think you'll find the level maybe that the summit is maybe going to hit, I think it's certainly going to be an attractor probably for more indie based titles than kind of anything from a bigger third party, shall we say.
Samuel.
So I'm just looking at it now. There's a lot of, because obviously Google does Android games as well as Stadia games. So it's good to see there's a good balance between Android, which is by far their bigger platform at the moment, but they also are mentioning Stadia, the up and coming, trying to put that in a limelight, but not so it overwhelms the conference, because a lot of the people will be tuning into Google's developer conference to try and get an idea of what happens with Android, and not say Android 12, but Android 13 coming out in a few years' time. How they can port games to that, how they can make games run well on those systems. To put Stadia in, it puts Stadia in the back of these game developers' minds. They're able to have a look. They'll have a quick look in, and if they like what they see, which Google are certainly hoping they will, and we've said that Google have been very good with getting developers on board and getting a good product out there. It's a possibility to get their foot in the door with Stadia as well. I'm not surprised it's not a Stadia centric event. It'll be good to see if they can use that to get their foot in the door.
Yeah. So with this, I think this is a good thing. They're doing 3 big talks about Stadia. They're doing a keynote, which for me, this is where I'm going to go slightly off there. 15 minutes isn't that long, to be absolutely frank. I wish it was a wee bit longer than the 15 minutes that they're putting down there. But it's absolutely great to see what is going on. We may find out what Stadia partner actually means now. So we could see there could be some hints towards that sort of thing. I think it is great, and the biggest thing for me out from this one is the less time porting and starting and more time creating. Does this mean we're going to see some good tools to actually get games coming on a bit quicker? And it's something we have been talking about. Bringing games to Stadia is not a simple click and play sort of thing as what people may just think. There is actually time, effort, and cost to bring games to Stadia, and that is why you do not see these games on Stadia. It's something we have been harping on Cloudy since our introduction. Basically,
Epic can't press a button and bang Fortnite. It's not.
Yeah,
simply not that easy at the moment.
At the moment, so let's hope that this is actually going to bring down them barriers, so it makes it a lot easier to bring the games across, because it's not just bringing the games across, it's actually maintaining, and that's where a lot of the costs you don't actually see. It isn't a once and done sort of thing, as we're seeing in famous games on Stadia like Outriders. I could mention
PGA is the other one we've mentioned earlier today.
And I don't want to throw them under the bus because I think they're absolutely amazing, but Codemasters as well. Codemasters, before I mentioned Dirt 5, the issues with F1 2020 on Stadia as well, which are, again, let's just hope that whatever tools and things they are doing, they are going to make it a lot easier to maintain and bring games to Stadia, because it is games that sell the platform. And that's the most important things. Games are the number one thing out there. And I'm going to go to Barry. Barry!
I don't know what else to add there. There was something that popped through in my mind. Yeah, I know it is dangerous when that happens. It quickly left again though, so I can't. It was around the point that Sammy was talking, so it might pop back into my head in a second. So Sammy, if you want to go first, you can go for it.
I've got no idea. He said anything to add, and I thought no, I've got nothing to add to that. The games will be what sells the platform. The technology, as brilliant as it is and as cutting edge as it can be, it's not why people are going to go out and buy a gaming system or a games console or a gaming platform, whatever you want to describe it. They'll buy the gaming platform so they can use it and play games. So they need the games that people want on them.
Yes, and yes, we are talking about games here, but we're talking about in the future. We are not talking. I would be pretty shocked if there's any game announcements at this. This is a developer conference. There is a minute possibility if they bring someone on stage just to sort of promote something there, but the chances are there's going to be no games here. So keep your expectations low. As Hell Monkey has said, we're talking a bit further down the line.
Yeah, definitely. It is worthwhile kind of adding that caveat in.
We're in that sort of catch-22 where the tech brings the games and the games bring the people. That's not, but it's a chain reaction.
Yes. Anything more on this?
No, I don't think so. I was just chuckling because I just seen Hell Monkey's comment after our conversation, Duncan.
Yeah. Would this be about the pro predictions? We are going to be doing our pro predictions tomorrow night. I forgot to mention this in chat.
Are we?
Yes,
okay.
we're doing them tomorrow night.
It's a good thing I can make tomorrow night, isn't it? Yeah.
Yes, I forgot to put that in the chat. We're doing them tomorrow night after the blog post, just in case the blog post announces the pro games.
After the blog post.
Yeah, because we've got something else we need to do on Friday.
I'll have to get back to you on timings, but yeah.
I think tomorrow would be the best day to actually get. So our world famous, completely wrong pro game predictions will be out tomorrow.
Tomorrow at our normal time, I can do. Tomorrow straight after blog post, I can't.
Yeah.
So we're gonna have to hope.
No, yeah, I'm thinking just our normal sort of time. So we will be doing our world famous blog, our pro predictions after that. I'll talk to you after, Sammy, but basically we were discussing that and we're just saying we have to do it because it might not be enough time. So we're doing this tomorrow.
We've got the reason why we're not doing it on Friday is because we've got a busy week lined up ahead. Plenty of stuff. Does that mean what was going to be on Thursday is now back on Friday? I don't know what I can say on camera. Okay.
Or is it? Yes, it is. It was because we're going to be the. We've got something interesting planned for Friday, which is going to be touch wood. All indications, I should say, we are doing it on Friday.
Yes, subject to change.
Yeah.
Subject to change. So let's hope that is the case. So moving on, where was I moving on to after this?
What other news has there been? I talked a little bit about PGA. Do you want to talk a bit more about PGA?
We'll talk about PGA. PGA was a free weekend. Absolutely brilliant. That is one of the number one brilliant things for cloud gaming is the free weekends because people can just jump in and have just jump in, no barriers, and just play it without having to think. And I think a load of people actually jumped in at the weekend. I've seen a load of posts on Twitter sharing their features and sharing their shots and how awesome they were at the game. I'm probably kicking my butt in it. Do we think we're going to see?
You can get lucky in PGA. I proved that in the first month.
Yep.
Hell Monkey knows all about that, but we won't go into that.
Do we think we're going to maybe get another free weekend this weekend because of launching on Google Chromecast 2? There we go. We'll just run with it.
It would be logical to have another free weekend this week. This weekend coming. I guess it's just a case of what game they maybe decide to pick. Because obviously PGA might not necessarily be for everybody. Do they dip back into maybe something they've done before? Do they maybe do a Borderlands weekend again? I know we've seen that. I think we've seen that a couple of times so far.
I think you try and make it a game that everyone can enjoy, everyone can play. So I'm thinking Ubisoft, and the more I think about it, I think Immortals Phoenix Rising. There's an interesting mini-series we can do. Not necessarily this weekend, but what is the next free game you get on a weekend?
I think the next free game on weekend is going to be Borderlands 3.
Do you know what to think, Matt? I think it'll be one that's a bit more family friendly if they're going to launch it with the Android TV devices.
Yeah, that would make sense. It'd be fun, and what I would love them to do is have the free weekend completely free and not behind Pro as well, because they have done that before as well for the Immortals Phoenix Rising demo. It wasn't behind Pro; anybody could jump onto that.
Oh, the demo wasn't behind Pro. Sorry.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it would be class for them to do that. Barry, what about you?
Yeah, I don't know. I called Borderlands 3 earlier because I think it's the one that kind of springs to mind as it's kind of being that, or maybe Sammy's got something in. I'd probably go for a different title, but in the Ubisoft partnership potentially, maybe they do a free weekend on Division 2. Obviously, it's well regarded as probably one of the best ports on Stadia. Jump in, try Division 2 this weekend, and kind of get blown away by by the visuals and have some good fun with the gameplay in it.
Okay, can we mark the date or the time here? We've had 45 minutes here of basically pure good Stadia sort of news.
I'm really worried where he's going now because we don't use show notes here, but I'm not sure where he's going with this at all.
We don't. It's all up here. It's all up here.
Yes, but it's not up here. That's the problem. It's in your head, not mine.
I said before what we're doing. We will move on to
Really, I want to pay attention.
We'll move on to some interesting news. The news I am talking about is not about the person who has joined this team. It is actually just the broader point that Xbox are now developing cloud-native games. Do we think that has a knock-on effect onto Stadia and what has happened there? And the reason why we can say it is cloud-native games is Greenberg of Xbox, old Greeny, Mr. Xbox Fridge, has came out and said cloud-native games. So that is... They are coming, and they have got someone off Stadia or who used to work at Stadia. Again, that for me is not a talking point because that's someone just moving jobs. Do you think this is how do you think this is going to affect Stadia, or it may not even affect them at all? Sammy,
the obvious thing this goes to is obviously what happened earlier this year with Stadia Games and Entertainment. You can't mention cloud native games without talking about what happened. Stadia Games and Entertainment shut down. We don't fully know the reasons behind that. One of them could be that it was just proving far too difficult for even their team, led by Jade Raymond and Stars, to create the game. We'll have to see. This is the first mention we've heard from Microsoft about it, which means, given game development times, we're likely 3 to 5 years off a game actually being launched. Anything could happen in that time, as we've seen. Even the one clock back 5 years. Imagine how much has changed. Yeah, 5 years minus about 2 days. Sorry.
Barry.
I think the ship has sailed. If I'm honest, I think in terms of having an impact, I think when you're in a position where you don't have a first-party studio, then, which was a decision, they've made that cognitive decision to kind of change course and go down the third-party and the Makers program route. So, in the short term, it has no impact. I think it's... The long-term impact for me is probably wider in the gaming, the gaming space, in actually bringing a vision that was something that, very prominent people within Stadia had spoken about, is that vision coming to life elsewhere. And I think that is kind of more where the impact, may come in later down the line is when that concept is kind of created, because they even said in the interview, we use the term cloud native, but right now we don't even know what it looks like, let alone kind of what the experience would be like. So I think, short term, no, it doesn't have an impact, but when it hits and when we start to see the fruitions of what that means and what it can mean, it is going to have, I think at that point, it will then have a kind of a knock-on effect in that sense, because it will be, look at what could have been had the course have been stayed, had they just have kind of readied the ship.
That's still if it hits. I mean, we talked about Amazon games haven't launched. I think they've launched maybe 1 or 2 games in their life.
They've launched a couple. They have pulled one, and there's been a couple. They have not.
They pulled a few. They've put a lot of money into it without getting much out. This might be something that Microsoft decide they're going to turn their back on as well. We don't know at this point. At this point, if you're looking for a cloud native game,
I'm going to tell you.
But Microsoft have the place to look.
It's a game for Barry. Barry's looking forward to it in a couple of weeks.
Yes, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Which is a Clyde. It uses Clyde a lot, and Hellmonkey has mentioned it as well in Flight Sim. That is the potential there. And just to could you imagine the Forza series where? You know where I'm going.
Yeah, I know where you go, because I've had similar ideas of what I'd like to see in a Stadia racing game.
Yeah, it starts off, say, Mexico is the starting point. This is and then you're just going to expand and do their. Yeah. That is what they could. I'm just floating here, but Barry is completely right here. We have not seen a cloud native game, so we don't know what the real potential. We can just see hints of it, but. I think this could be a big issue for Stadia down the line, and we haven't even got into the elephant in the room yet. Shall we go?
Shall we break the rule and mention the elephant in the room then?
Yes. A couple of people, Eddie has mentioned it, the Kojima game, which was heavily rumored coming to Stadia, which looks like it's basically they're going by our tweet by our old friend who used to work at Stadia Games and Entertainment, Mr. Bang Bang Click himself.
Friend of game streamers everywhere.
Friend of game streamers everywhere.
You talk about cloud native games and you mentioned Stadia Games and Entertainment. You talk about Alex Hutchinson, you've got to mention that tweet.
Yeah. He seems to imply that yes, that Kojima game was probably coming to Stadia, and it looks like it's on its way to Xbox now. So that is the elephant in the room, and I don't really want to go over that because we've talked about that before, but I think it unfortunately is in the news, and so I think this is something which could have happened, and this lines in with the person going to Xbox as well. They came from Stadia Games and Entertainment, or Stadia, I think it was Games and Entertainment, and they are going to be helping bring this Kojima game to Xbox.
I think with his game styles and the way he likes to approach his adventures are something that you want. Some people may like them. Some people may say, no, do you know what? They're just not for me. But the one thing that is when he puts his mind to creating and crafting that experience, generally speaking, he's going to deliver a masterpiece on some level that it's not been. The expectation is there because it's Kojima, but he always delivers a masterpiece in a different way to what maybe your kind of wildest dreams or perceptions could have been. And I think, we seen him over the Summer Game Fest period where, talking quite openly, and he kind of said, well, I need to think about what way we're going to go, because he spoke about Death Stranding and then said, kind of look at the world, look where we've gone now. Maybe I need to rein my thoughts in a bit. But it is going to be it's going to be a hurtful, impactful thing for sure. Eddie has just absolutely nailed it on the head there.
Yeah.
Consumer game sales platforms, you were bang on. And I think it's going to hurt, because I think it's going to be another one of those things. When it arrives, it's going to be praised to high heaven, and it's going to be, what could the impact have been if the right decisions were taken?
Sammy, do you have anything to add there?
To be fair, having spent the last few years before Stadia out of gaming in general, I'm still trying to find out all these little bits. So Kojima is one of the things I haven't looked into yet. I've seen a little bit of Death Stranding gameplay, and it looks like the kind of game I'd enjoy. I'd enjoy playing through the first level. Whether I'd pick it up any further depends on probably how I'm feeling on the day. But there's no denying how popular, how visionary the guy seems to be. And as Eddie said, his games seem to be what drive people to platforms. This goes back to our exclusives comment.
Yeah, exclusives matter. And I think there's no way around it. I think the two points there about Eddie and Andrew Noble knows Anthony are basically it there in a nutshell. Is Kojima games will sell platforms, but cloud gaming is small at the moment. But how do you make cloud bigger? You put something onto the platform which draws people in. We're going to be seeing that, I would say, maybe not this year. I think we're going to be seeing that next year with Xbox in particular at this moment in time, with a couple of their titles. This is what we want Stadia to actually come out here. I want Stadia to go out there and buy an exclusive, and so it sells the platform, because then you get more games, and it is the spiral from that. This could be a good thing. I think it's been a reasonably good week for Stadia. It's been relatively quiet, just given the Madden news, the sales. There was also that game jam they were promoting as well. So I don't think it's been a bad
game jam. That's lovely. That's passed me by. I suppose for obvious reasons, but.
It was a pretty small one. It's nothing. It's like a student sort of one.
But given what we saw in the last game jam, was this the Crater one? It's a Crater game jam. I saw a hashtag for or something.
I don't know. That might have missed that one.
Who'd have a game jam on Crater? I mean, I should explain before people think I'm joking about Crater. That's not. We were looking at doing something similar here at Cloudy. If you scroll back, I think you might have found a few tweets referencing it.
With that, I'm just going to say this. Over the last week or so, I'm completely conflicted about Stadia still. I'm still not sure where it's heading. I think we've had the good news. This is like a roundup of what has happened over the last 2 weeks, though, if it be an E3 sort of season. We've had the good news that Ubisoft are still out there promoting and jumping on board with Stadia. We've got EA half in, half out with Madden, but not missing out in Battlefield. We've had a couple of the big devs not bringing a couple of their big games to Stadia. Stadia's future for me is still very, very unclear, and I think we need some more certainty out there. It is absolutely brilliant. If you think we've just been hitting on Stadia for like an hour, we have not.
Rewatch the last hour.
Yeah,
if you think that's the case. Yeah.
The news today with this, them getting a good thing at this Google Game Dev Summit is absolutely great news, and I'm going to be really paying attention to that to see what comes out from it. Yes, I've already signed up for it, so I can actually watch it to find out what is going on. I'm going to be sad and watch it. So,
don't some of those events clash with us next week? Not next week, but
a couple of weeks' time.
A couple of weeks. July 12th.
It's only on for an hour, from 5 to 6.
So are we. Oh, the Stadia stuff. 5 to 6. I thought you were going to watch everything.
No, just the Stadia stuff. I mean,
okay.
Not that other stuff. That's like Android. I'm an Apple person. Come on.
You never know what could mention Stadia. What Google can mention.
Yeah. It'd be absolutely great that they. I think people have talked about this in our chat. Thank you all, guys, for talking away. They're absolutely brilliant. Could you imagine that instead of being on Stadia, they actually just drop Cyberpunk, or just Cyberpunk because it's been in the news today, Cyberpunk into the Google Play Store in the supported countries? You could go there and just find an app for Cyberpunk. You click onto that, and away you go. That would be brilliant if they added that to the Play Store.
What iOS were asking them to do.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's... Oh, we've just got breaking news. Thank you, Hell Monkey.
Oh, at last.
So I'm just loading this up here.
So those of you that are watching in chat obviously will have seen that. They're saying,
I don't want to go down this again. I do not want to do this.
Well, I'll say messages at least. I haven't seen the tweet yet. But Stadia just tweeted that Hello Engineer, which is the next game in the Hello Neighbor series or cinematic universe, is coming soon in early access.
I don't see it. Yeah, it hasn't got a Stadia Pro. It's not mentioned Stadia Pro on it at this moment in time.
I can't remember. I don't, because this was one of the games that was announced during the Good Stuff series.
It was going to Stadia Pro, wasn't it? Or am I?
I cannot remember.
It was, yeah.
Let's hope that they follow through with the Stadia Pro.
I've done twitter.com/Stadia, and that's come up with the church planting.
Yep.
I'm not even seeing the tweet. Oh wait, no, sorry, I'm completely blind. Sorry.
I am hoping this still comes to Stadia Pro, because that will get people into play, because it is a first on Stadia again.
I remember it. I remember it saying first on Stadia. The other two Hello Neighbor games, and indeed, is Hide and Seek a separate game? I don't know. Certainly, some of the Hello Neighbor games have come onto Stadia Pro, so it's not impossible. Oh, Secret Neighbor, that was it. So I've got Hello Neighbor and Secret Neighbor on Stadia Pro. I don't know if they launched on Stadia Pro, but so I'm not expecting on Stadia Pro, especially given that tweet. I don't know what was promised beforehand.
I might have been wrong about that, but I thought it was coming to Stadia Pro.
I'm fairly certain that it is, because I'm sure we went through a period of predicting it and our pro predictions because of what
but
they
our pro
said.
predictions are famously wrong.
Yes, no, I know, but I'm sure I know we can get the games wrong at that points, but I'm sure we weren't that wrong.
Yeah,
we'll go back and have a look through some of our old stuff. That means going back to the Good Stuff event.
Yeah. Well, we'll find out about that anyway.
Yeah.
But it's it might not be going to Stadia Pro. I might be completely wrong, and I will take that. But it is absolutely class that it is finally coming, and it's coming in early access, which is great. So, are you as excited for it coming?
I remember watching the trailer for it again at the Good Stuff event and being rather excited about it. I've not been a big fan of the Hello Neighbor games or that cinematic universe, I think, as Anders described it. But it looks a very decent game. Being a robot fighting fan kind of guy, so stuff like Robot Wars, BattleBots, and so it reminded me of some of the video games we've had in that franchise. I'm not sure it's one I'll particularly enjoy, but again, brilliant that it comes to the platform and as a first on Stadia. So I mentioned previously about when the next set of timed exclusive will be coming through. This will be one of them.
Yeah, Barry.
I mean, I think I'm probably in a very similar boat to Sammy on Hello Engineer. I've had the most fun with Hide and Seek. The first one didn't really, didn't grab me by any stretch of the imagination. But there's something. I think there's maybe more appeal about this one than maybe kind of the previous installments. So hopefully, with maybe like the Hide and Seek and then kind of moving into this, then maybe Hello Engineers, maybe it's something that I'd probably I'd at least give it a try, before writing it off. That's for sure.
Yeah. Absolutely great to finish on this tonight. We were just talking about exclusive games matter. If they advertise this right, I
think they saw that, Duncan. Yeah.
Yes. If they do this right, they could get a load of people to come to Stadia and play, because people are excited about the Hello Neighbor sort of franchise, because it's they just like it for some odd reasons. I don't like it, but
to be fair, I think it is very much a kids game. Anthony mentioned that. I know he said that about other games I disagree with, but Hello Engineer series has been aimed at kids a lot more.
But to be fair, he plays the biggest kick game on Stadia in Avengers.
Let's not get into this. I believe he's right in describing the Hello Engineer series as a kids game. And I think even the developers would agree with him on that.
Yeah. But I think it is a real good get, because if they can get something going with that, if they go out and get some of these streamers out there to play Hello Engineer and start advertising this has real legs, because this has a fan base, and exclusive games matter. You bring it over, people will try it. They will say no, 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 and famously people go yes, 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 yes if the game matters much about that.
Yep. I was just going to say, just while you guys were running through some of that, I've just checked out the trailer from the Good Stuff event, and it is Stadia first, timed exclusive, but no mention of Pro. So, well done to everybody in the chat who got that one right.
So it is absolutely fun, and we hold our hands up when we get things wrong. So again, this has been, it's been a reasonable week for Stadia. So we were summing up where we thought Stadia were, or should we just skip that now, since we've ended on a nice wee positive thing there with the game coming?
I don't think we could. Well, I certainly can't add much more. I think it's been a good couple of weeks on the whole, and we hope to see more of it come through. We've got big stuff coming this week with the Android TV launch. One thing I'd like to see in the future, if we can put that out there, is some of these games that have been announced over the last few months. Can we have them released now, please?
Yeah. And can we have some more release dates, please? I'd be just happy with release dates, because I have a horrible feeling we're going to get swamped all of a sudden.
Yes.
I think we don't want that. So I just want to say thank you all for joining us, and everybody's waving bye, so we'll just wave bye. We will be back again next week, and we will talk some more Stadia and what has Stadia done now. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning.